Oi, ima, or hey now in Japanese. I told my wife, or asked my wife, how would you translate "hey now" into Japanese? And I first went through Google Translate, and it came up with "Oi, ima." My wife said, "There's no way anybody Japanese would ever say that. It's rude, and it makes no sense." So there you go. "Oi, ima." I like that. So I am doing the Japan Vinyl Tag 2024. This was started by, I believe, a gentleman in Tokyo, Brian, and it's Tokyo Record Style is his channel, and I will put that link down below. These are 20 questions that are kind of linked to Japan, but it doesn't require a great knowledge of Japan. He's kept it open-ended enough, so that's good. For me, I spent some time in Tokyo. I moved there at the end of 1990, taught English, and left in mid-94, met my wife there, and we moved here to Vancouver way back in 95. So from December 90 till the summer of 94, I lived in Tokyo and loved it. And in fact, I was spurred on to do this video because I will be going back to Tokyo and Japan for a 3-week visit in another month or so. Looking forward to the record collecting, or the record buying, shall we say. Look for some vinyl. And for those of you who don't know, Japan overall has become relatively inexpensive. It used to be famous for being super expensive. And now, because the yen is quite weak, the Canadian dollar is extremely weak, but the yen is even weaker, relatively speaking. And there's been almost no inflation in Japan for the last 30 years. So things that cost 3,000 yen before used to cost about 40 bucks Canadian. And now that's about 27 Canadian, and it hasn't gone up in those 30 years. I mean, I'm generalizing, but so I'm looking forward to doing some record shopping. I've got my friend Simon joining me, and we're going to be up to no good in Tokyo, and we'll do a little bit of trip and stuff like that. My wife's coming as well. She'll be there for a little bit longer, and we'll do a bit of traveling around Japan. I'm hoping to do some jazz listening bars, vinyl bars, whatever you want to call them, kissetens, and hopefully go visit some of those and maybe record or take photos of some of those locations if it's not too rude for me to do so. If the proprietor, the master, is okay with that, I'll see what I can do and kind of come back with, because that had a huge influence on me, and particularly my love of jazz really developed out of that. I found that I've always, been into rock and roll, and jazz was something that I started to get interested in, but I was pretty much like a, John Coltrane, Bill Evans, just sort of that tier. And spending some time in Japan, Tokyo, there's something about jazz music that really suits Tokyo in my mind. And these vinyl bars, or jazz kissetens, are just really, and still are, amazing little refuges where you can go and immerse yourself in great music, where people talk little or not at all, and the music reigns supreme. And the master who chooses the albums is revered and has a tremendous amount of knowledge, and tries to choose things that are quite appropriate. Anyways, long intro. Japan Vinyl Tag 2024. Again, Tokyo Record Style. Link down below in terms of the questions and the initiation of this by Brian. So first question, Obi 1. So show a record with a Japanese Obi strip. And that, for me, is going to be the Japanese DJ Calm. This record's called Before. This is a double record, some really nice, rich blue vinyl. I love this. I don't know what it is, but it reminds me of Tokyo. The beats, the urban sounds of this. It's both relaxing and energizing. Calm, Before. So that's and this beautiful Obi strip here as well. Number 2. A Japanese band or artist. Well, of course, that is one, but I'm going to choose another one and get more bonus points for yet another Obi. This is Susumu Yokota, Japanese, I guess, electronic artist, DJ, did most of his recording, as I understand, in like his living room, and just some amazing stuff. This particular album, called Symbol, And this is kind of a pastiche of classical music that's been sampled in with some electronic music. And it sounds like it could be like Stars on 45 or something kind of cheesy, but it actually works really, really well. It's a really good record. So there he is there. He died quite young, 54 years old. This is a really nice record. Love listening to this. Number 3, Sunrise soundtrack. So I'm going to choose an album that I have been playing a lot in the morning. And it seems that the people who are here with me seem to always comment on how nice it sounds as well in the morning. And that is a record of Satie, of Eric Satie, known for beautiful piano music. My grandkids were here visiting from Japan this summer, and when I would put on this record, my granddaughter would always say, "Oh, I love this music. This is beautiful." This is some of the well-known Eric Satie music. Beautiful, great way to start the day. I'm really big on what record starts the day, and I like it generally to be something fairly mellow and something that eases me in, nothing too intense. So that's the Sunrise record, number 3. Number 4, City Sounds, show a record with a city vibe. Well, I'm going to combine the Japan theme and pull out and this record, which I think is a great city record. Squeezing Out Sparks, Graham Parker. This was released back in 1979 on Arista Records after he had got mercury poisoning and left the Mercury record label. Excellent record. First track on there, Discovering Japan. This has got an edge to it. In the early days, he was kind of compared to Elvis Costello, but didn't do him justice. He stands alone as a great singer-songwriter, but great edge and city vibe to this record, Discovering Japan, a great lead-off track to this record. Zen listening, go to the other extreme. So number 5 is show a record that quiets your mind. Mention this record quite often, but Beck's Sea Change. For my money, my favorite Beck record. I don't know his discography inside and out, but this is such a great record. I have this memory of listening to this record actually on a tape, driving a Lincoln Town Car down Highway 1 in California just before going to Japan. And that Highway 1, between San Francisco down to Carmel and then down to Cambria and on your way to Los Angeles is gorgeous and completely undeveloped pretty much. And I remember listening to this record and watching the sun set and listening to the song Round the Bend and the whole record. And it just really left a lasting visual impression for me. So Beck, Sea Change, Zen listening definitely calms my mind. Next one, we go to Go Go Godzilla, number 6. Share a record that destroyed your music expectations and perceptions. I guess I'd have to say probably this Stranglers record, Stranglers 4, aka Radis Norvegicus. I was listening to hard rock mostly. I could have, the easy pick would have been, for any of you who watch my channel, I often mention about the Iggy Pop, David Bowie, it's Iggy Pop album, but the collaboration with David Bowie on The Idiot. And that one really blew me away, but that was partly because of seeing him live and just experiencing basically punk music for the first time. But this record, just as a piece of vinyl, just absolutely blew me away. And it's got Hanging Around, which is such a classic song, Peaches, Get a Grip on Yourself, Down in the Sewer. The bass playing of Jean-Jacques Brunel is fantastic. The band is super tight. They were kind of like the Doors of punk, although I hesitate to say that because I'm not a huge Doors fan, but something real special. The musicianship on this is great. And Hugh Cornwell's vocals and some of the topics, very, very direct and very punky in attitude. So that would be my record that kind of destroyed my music expectations and perceptions and really kind of got me going, along with Iggy Pop. Iggy Pop's The Idiot got me into kind of punk and later new wave music, and certainly dissuaded me from much of the 70s kind of rock and roll stuff, classic rock, as you would call it. A record that's ahead of its time. This is number 7, ahead of its time. So I would say this record for me, Brian Eno's Another Green World, very much ahead of its time. I think the reason I bought this record was I was a big fan of Roxy Music. I loved Roxy Music and Brian Ferry on those first 2 records. And I don't feel like his presence on those records really comes through, other than the eclectic nature of those records, because they were really something different at the time, Roxy Music. But this record, when I got this record, so this, I'm not even sure quite when this was released, but I was in high school, 75. This was before he was doing ambient music, if I'm not mistaken. But there were these beautiful electronic sketches, really, that were just so fantastic. The Big Ship and Becalmed, and it really was quite a ride musically, of music that was a bit challenging, music that was beautiful. I'll Come Running to Tie Your Shoes, just a gorgeous song. This, for me, really was, I guess, a harbinger of music, of electronic music that was to come much later. And in 1975, this was, I think, quite a record quite ahead of its time. So that is number 7. Number 8, Take a Walk, Man. See what he did there? So this is Sony Walkman tribute, show an album suitable for dubbing to cassette for the classic Sony Walkman. So if you think about walking around, in particular, I guess, walking around the city, and if I think about Tokyo, walking around Tokyo, you're going to be taking trains. You're going to walk, you're going to take trains if you're not on a motor scooter like Brian is at Tokyo Record Style. The music that you choose ideally has got, if it's an album, it's got ups and downs, it's got quiet pieces, it's got, very exciting pieces, and it's a journey, right, that actually flows with your walking journey. I'm going to take this one from a friend of mine, Mark, in New York. He mentioned that he's been biking a lot, and he's been listening to this record from beginning to end, and I think this would hold up really well as a Walkman record, whether you're on a bicycle or you're wandering down the streets, and that would be Quadrophenia. I do mention this record quite a bit because it really is one of my all-time favorites. But when you think about the way this record is crafted, it opens up with all of the different motifs, the rain, the ocean, the Love, Rain, or Me, the bellboy, all the different themes of the Quadrophenia concept. And you've got these moments like, The Real Me, which is just absolutely probably one of the most electric songs that kick off with the bass event whistle and the drumming of Keith Moon, just outstanding. You've got, the eloquence of Love, Rain, or Me, and the beautiful sounds and kind of the melancholic quality of that. But all of that to say that this goes on while you're moving through whatever environment you're in. And I feel like things are always changing around you. So you're opening doors, you're stopping at lights, you're taking a green light, and those, you have the opportunity for synchronicity where, something happens and then the song begins or it changes in some fashion. And this is a great album for that as a soundtrack to your walk, man. Bullet Train. So this is a record perfect for a train ride. So this one I'll put to the test when I have my train pass and going through Japan middle of October, end of October, I guess. But this has been one of my really favorite CDs that I got in the 90s, I guess. I think it was the 90s or maybe early 2000s, was Toshinori Kondo and DJ Crush Kyoku. And just some gorgeous beats that DJ Crush lays down. Toshinori Kondo playing that muted trumpet. This was just released on vinyl, or re-released on vinyl through Distribution's Diggers Factory. I was very excited to pick this up and get this on vinyl, 2 record set. But this has got, because it's got these great rhythmic beats and then these beautiful flowing trumpet lines that Kondo does, to me would be, the beats themselves, I think, would suit the train itself and the rhythm of the train, clack, clack, clack on the tracks. Although a Bullet Train, there's not a lot of clackety. It's more, okay, number That was number 9, Bullet Train. Number 10, Lost in Translation. Share a record that takes you to a different world. In some ways, this is almost too easy to choose. I was going to pick a record by Pole that I really love that's just another worldly sound and kind of spooky. But I have to go with Cocteau Twins. And this particular record, Bluebell Knoll, is one of my favorites. The Robin Guthrie and the guitar and drum programming that he did, Liz Fraser's vocals, I mean, it is so ethereal. It is so much of like space, and it's just not of this world. It's just absolutely fabulous. So Cocteau Twins, and you know it by even the names of the songs. So Bluebell Knoll, For Phoebe Still a Baby, The Itchy Globo Blow, Spooning Good Singing Gum, and who can forget the classic, A Kissed Out Red Float Boat, and it closes with Ella Mega Last Burls Forever. And those song titles are absolutely perfect because it's just, they're as ethereal as the music that the Cocteau Twins produces. So Bluebell Knoll. Next one up, live at Budokan. Got a quick little story about this. So I went to Budokan twice in the 4 years or 3.5 years that I was in Tokyo. Once went to see Elvis Costello, and the second time was the night that my wife and I got married, February 8th, 1994. It happened that it was the same night that Bob Dylan was playing Budokan, not the famous Budokan shows that were recorded. That was much earlier, but this was in 1994. As I say, February 8th. And I said to my wife, I know we're getting married on the 8th, but Dylan's playing Budokan. Do you think we might be able to go there? We went to see Bob Dylan at Budokan. So that was pretty cool. But what I'm going to choose, the request is not for a Budokan show, but show any record recorded live. And what I'm going to show is, in kind of honor of his new record, Wild God, this record, which I just love. The description of this recording. So at the end of a 3-month world tour for Push the Sky Away in the spring of 2013, Nick Cave and a pared-down version of the Bad Seeds performed a show in California for KCRW in front of 180 people. No rehearsals, no cameras, no overdubs. This is the result. This is a beautiful sounding record. The vocals are just right up front. The richness of his voice is fantastic. The dynamic range is great. This may be my favorite Nick Cave record, to be honest with you. It's kind of cheating. It almost, is like a greatest hits. It's not really, but it's just an exquisite set list of music. But most importantly, the performance and the way the whole thing is mixed, and it's just fabulous. It starts off with Higgs Boson Blues, which may be one of my favorite Nick Cave songs, and all the way through, it's outstanding. And just as an aside, I saw Todd, Lost Mixtapes, just did a tremendous review, I guess, or appreciation of the early days of absorbing the new Nick Cave album, Wild God. I highly recommend you go to it. I'll put that link down below too, to Lost Mixtapes and his review of Wild God. What I really liked about it was that he really went deep into the contextual stuff in terms of Nick Cave as an artist and what he means to Todd, which I think is very important, so that you kind of set the bias in terms of your expectations, but also what he loves and what he maybe is finding challenging or different. Like any great artist, I think of Bob Dylan off the hop. They put out records, and sometimes when you first listen to them, they're not necessarily records that you love. Your expectations may be taking you in a different place, but you know that these are artists that are worth sitting with their releases and seeing how you might respond to them week 1, week 10, and 3, 5, 10 years later may change quite a bit. And I felt that Todd kind of respected that whole process of an artist that he clearly reveres, and thinks is one of the best. Anyways, excellent, and highly recommend that you check that out. Todd, you did a great job on that. Really, really good. So Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, a live album that I absolutely love. Okay, number 12, Vinyl Bar DJ, which for those of us who have been in Japan, this notion of a vinyl bar, jazz kissaten, as I mentioned earlier, is very unique kind of thing in that culture. Show a record to play at a vinyl bar. Ironically, I'm going to choose one that I heard in a jazz bar in Ikebukuro called Paper Moon. And the master there turned me on to a lot of really good music. And this was one that particularly I loved. And it's not on vinyl, it's on CD because this was in the early 90s. And this is Charlie Mariano and the Mal Waldron Trio. This was released, I think, just in Japan. And it's called Autumn Dreams. And the title track, Floating Cherry Blossoms, is outstanding. I don't even know if you can get this on the streaming services, but the master asked me what I liked in terms of jazz music, and I shared some of the things that I liked, which probably were kind of the more mellow Coltrane, Bill Evans, that kind of stuff. And he played this for me, and I went out and bought it. I just love it. Floating Cherry Blossoms is a beautiful, beautiful track. So that's number 12. Number 13, Island Nation. So share a record with an island vibe. I'm going to show you this with the caveat that I really don't like these guys. I bought this because it was $3 and as a joke to play at a music listening night with my friends. I got a button with Pablo Cruz on it as well. It's kind of a joke amongst the friends of ours. So that is number 13, a record with an island vibe. Monsoon Season, share a record for a rainy day. Well, I have lots of great rainy day records. This is one of them, Bruce Coburn's Dancing in the Dragon's Jaw. Some really nice artwork, Indigenous artwork. Bruce Coburn, of course, one of Canada's premier singer-songwriters. Not that well known south of the border. I'm not sure about in the UK. Just saw him about a year and a half ago. He's definitely aged quite a bit, but he's still a tremendous guitar player. Came through the Berklee School of Music. But this record is a beautiful sounding record. This came out when I was in university, and that was 1979. So I was in, I think, first or second year of university, and went to see him at a small hall in Kingston, Ontario. And Music for a Rainy Day. It's excellent if you get a chance to listen to that. Just beautifully produced record. Next one is show a record that's imperfectly perfect. So I'm going to show, again, in the spirit of jazz and Tokyo being such a great jazz place, all of Japan, but the great love of jazz there. I discovered this record there, Donald Byrd, and this one's called A New Perspective. And it's kind of a bit of a gospel blues record. And this track on here that is, for me, absolute perfection is Christor Redentor. It's got this beautiful choir in the background, and the trumpet, when it comes through, is it just cuts through, and it's so perfect and so melancholic and so spiritual. It really is fantastic. There's some other stuff on here that I find a little pedestrian. I mean, I shouldn't say pedestrian. He obviously knows what he's doing, but it doesn't really do much for me. It feels kind of a little bit less interesting, but Christor Redentor is fabulous. So that's Wabi Sabi, show a record that's imperfectly perfect, number 15. Okay, we're in the home stretch. So Origami Me, number 16. Show a record with intricate or interesting packaging. I'm going to actually show you a CD box that I really quite like. So this is Merle Saunders with Jerry Garcia. For those of you that are moderately interested in the Grateful Dead, but maybe you feel like it's a little too much noodling or whatever, this is a really another side with Jerry Garcia. Merle Saunders came up through, I believe, the gospel keyboard kind of route. And they do mostly very different music than what they did with the Grateful Dead, with a little bit of overlap, some of the Bob Dylan covers for sure. But this was the Keystone Companions. So Merle Saunders, Jerry Garcia, John Conn, and Bill Vitt. Garcia and Saunders used to play together quite often, and they would play at the Keystone in San Francisco. And so this is a 4 CD box. I think it's recorded over 2 nights, July 10th and 11th in 1973. And it comes with, as you would imagine, a nice sort of book of stuff, and sort of about their recordings and their relationship, their music relationship between them. It also comes with this Keystone Berklee, so this is the other located in Berklee, calendar. I love these snapshots in time of the calendar. You'll sometimes see in some of my videos, I've got a poster of I guess about a month, 3 weeks to a month at the Warfield Theater, and it shows the Concrete Blonde, Jerry Garcia, Replacements, all these different bands, and I look at that and I go, my God, I could just be going to like a show a night and get such diverse experiences from this one particular venue. Maybe a little less so here, but the Keystone in Berkeley, California, and you can see Jerry Garcia, Merle Saunders playing in there on July 10th and 11th of 1973, Graham Central Station, Commander Cody, John Lee Hooker, and lots of others. So there's there's a nice little, of the ephemera, there's a nice little button there. And I think they even had these, on the table, but they were matches of Jerry and Merle. Now it's just paper, and I don't know if this was intended to be like filter tips for joints or what. Okay, so now we're on to number 17, Fusion Frenzy. Share an album that fuses genres. So normally you think about, jazz and rock fusion. You think about maybe rock and prog rock or that kind of thing. Rock, psychedelia, But I'm going to do a kind of a strange reference to fusing genres. And this is the record. The Dictators, Go Girl Crazy. There's Handsome Dick Manitoba in his wrestling outfit. These guys, this record came out in 1975, which when I looked at this, I thought, that's amazing. This is like 1 year before the Ramones' first record, before punk ever hit. And this to me fuses three genres. It fuses kind of classic rock, punk rock, and wrestling. A couple of tracks on here. They cover I Got You, Babe, in a hysterical kind of cover of the Sonny and Cher song. They do California Sun, and the classic closeout song, which is their own, I think, I Live for Cars and Girls. Cars and Girls, ooh, is really good. Anyways, the Dictators, Go Girl Crazy. That was number 17. Number 18, Tokyo Nights, Show a Nightlife record. I'm not a nightlife guy in the sense of going out to clubs per se. I go out to see live music. But to stay on the Japan theme, this to me is very much a nighttime record, kind of a rock psychedelia experience, and Kikagaku Moyo's Masana Temples. And this is a really nice record. Even includes the shamisen. Is it the shamisen? Or the koto. Anyways, there's the Eastern Asian instrument that's incorporated into this really, really well. Beautiful cover art, and I get extra bonus points, I believe, for yet another obi. Anyways, I really like these guys. Saw them a few times. They have officially retired, unfortunately. And number 19, End of the Day. Well, David Atkinson, who I watched his video of this Japan vinyl tag, picked Richard Hawley, and there couldn't be a better End of the Day album. I would argue in the middle of the day, anytime you want to have a glass of scotch and unwind. His crooning voice is so fantastic, and I love that Cole's Corner record, but I do not want to be repetitive. So I'm going to choose what I think is another beautiful End of the Day record, Paris, Texas, the Ry Cooder soundtrack to the Wim Wenders film. Beautiful, beautiful record. The mix on this is fabulous. Just the production is outstanding. Tremendous film, just existential, lonely, sad. What better way to end your day than lonely and sad, right? Okay, and number 20 is The Last Samurai, and that's Share a Record to be Remembered By, to play at your memorial. So my first thought would be the Buzzcocks. I don't mind, but that's a little cheeky. It might scare some of the older folks, although as I age, all of the people who are old in my life, they're disappearing, so maybe my friends will get the joke for sure. But I'm going to say, if I want to have one long song or album, it's going to be a Grateful Dead one for sure. And one that I have just absolutely love is off of, it came out of a box set, the Pacific Northwest. This is the 1973 Vancouver show, ironically, the place that I've now call home. And the song is Birdsong. This is one drummer, so this is after Mickey Hart left the band and then came back later. There's a lot of space. It's an absolutely beautiful song, apparently a tribute to Janis Joplin. But it's, to me, the most beautiful, uplifting, and melancholic song and version of this particular song, Birdsong. Absolutely love it. So Birdsong would be the one. I think it runs about 8 minutes, so that's not too bad. But if you play the whole live record, you got 4 CDs. And this is a beautiful box set. So that's it. I don't know what to say in the way of carpe diem in Japanese, but oi iba! Thank you for watching. Cheers.